What is going on, y'all? This is Randall Branch. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about the female gaze, one of my favorite topics. We're going to be talking about the top 3 female gaze muscles. Before we even get into this video, like, comment, share, subscribe. Okay, I'm going to say that at the end of this video too, but let's get into the video. And if you guys want, because honestly, 3 muscles ain't really enough, we can make a part 2. I would love to make a part 2, but I'm only going to make a part 2 if you guys fuck with me and you guys want a part 2. We're going to get right into the first female gaze muscle, and that will be the shoulders, fellas. The delts. I like to say delts, right? I don't really say shoulders because we say like front delt, side delt, rear delt. So I just say delts, right? I don't say, excuse me, I don't really say shoulders, but the delts, guys. The delts are extremely important, right? The delts are more important than the chest, right? And the chest actually isn't going to make this list, right? The chest will probably make if I did a second part, a part 2, the chest, the upper chest specifically would probably be in there, but the chest isn't in this list. A lot of men still mistake that the chest is more important than shoulders. You know, I don't train for strength. I don't preach strength training. I preach resistance training and building a nice, lean, aesthetic V-taper physique. But if your goal was to focus on one pushing movement or get stronger at one pushing movement, a lot of guys would think it would be a bench press, but it would be a shoulder press over a bench press, honestly. Whether that be dumbbell, Smith, barbell, or machine, the shoulders are more important than the chest. The chest is still extremely important. The chest is overrated though, right? Two things can be true at once. The chest can be overrated and still important, right? Which it is. The reason why the chest is overrated is because a lot of men, if I probably made a poll, most men would probably think that the chest is the most important muscle, and the chest is extremely important, especially for female gaze, but it's not as important as the shoulders. Fellas, there has been so many studies showing that women find the shoulder to waist ratio the most attractive. All of your favorite fitness influencers, all of your favorite whatever old school bodybuilders. I'm really big on like old school bodybuilding. Serge Nubret, Frank Zane, Arnold, Robbie Robinson, Lee Haney, who else? Brian Buchanan, one of the most underrated bodybuilders of all time. Search him up. You guys probably never even heard of him, but so many old school bodybuilders. What makes them so what makes their physique so amazing is their shoulders, right? Their shoulders. Even though they all had good chests, right? The shoulders are the most important. And specifically for the female gaze, women find that shoulder to waist ratio extremely important. So the shoulder to waist ratio that women like in us is the same as the hip to waist ratio that we like in women, right? These are biologically wired in our brain and in the woman's brain for us to find desirable and to find health attractive, because they have health cues and health signals that are related to them, right? Something I talk about along this channel, and I'll talk about more, is that 99% of attractiveness just comes down to how healthy do you look, right? A man who has a amazing shoulder to waist ratio looks healthy, right? He looks extremely healthy. He looks like he can produce strong offspring. A woman who has an amazing hip to waist ratio looks like she can produce strong offspring. These are things that are biologically wired in us in our subconscious. The woman is not looking at you and necessarily saying, he looks like he would have some good kids. Now, I ain't gonna lie, some of them are, right? But usually it's a subconscious thing where she's just saying, damn, he looks fine. You know, he looks well put together. But she is not knowing that it's because of that, right? So there's some biologically wired shit in our brain that just because of evolution, I guess you could say, we find attractive. So number one will be delts, right? Now, what I would like to focus on is, yes, side and rear delts, but please don't neglect your front delts. You know, it's very common jargon for you to see online, or rhetoric, I should say, for you to see to skip the front delts, right? Oh, your front delts get enough. Just focus on your laterals. Focus on your rear delts. Fellas, you want 3D delts. What does 3D mean? It means three-dimensional. You cannot have 3 dimensions of an object when only 2 dimensions are developed. What does that mean, Randall? It means that you must have a developed front delt, a developed side delt, and a developed rear delt. Yes, focus more on your side and your rear than your front. I believe that 90% of trainers, of men, should allocate more training volume and attention to the side and the rear delt, but that does not mean to neglect the front delt. It just means to prioritize the side and the rear. You still want to focus on all 3 heads, okay? So number one for female gaze is the delts. What do you guys think number 2 is? I'm gonna give you guys 5 seconds to guess. Number two. What we saying? Number two is the back, right? And when I say back, I'm talking about the upper back and the lats, okay? The upper back and the lats. So the first two, or I guess the first three muscles, saying the back is completely one muscle is technically false. The back has a multitude of muscles, but we're just gonna say back to keep things simple, right? So the two biggest muscles for female gaze are the shoulders and the back, the delts in the back, and they're going to create the frame. They're going to create that V taper, that silhouette. Again, the V taper is extremely important. The V taper is so important. So when you have wide delts, right, and you have a nice V taper back, the V taper is the lats sweeping out, but you also want a nice dense upper back. You're going to be putting yourself in the best position for the female gaze, right? For upper back, you're going to focus on your traps. You don't want to do too much traps, but you do want to have nice developed traps. Just do shrugs once a week, dumbbell, barbell, Smith, right? Depending on where you're at, right? After 3-4 years into the gym, you could get away with it once a week because you don't want to have overdeveloped traps, but you do want to have decent traps, right? And you also want to make sure you're doing some wide grip rows, whether they be barbell bent over rows. If you do those, I do suggest not going too heavy, and I'll talk about why that is. And it kind of ties into my third female gaze muscle, right? But me personally, I do those on the Smith. I do like those, but I also like just wide grip cable rows. Those are amazing for the upper back. And for your lats, right? There's so many back exercises, so many different attachments, rows, attachments, and shit. I would focus. I mean, and I don't want to get into everything that you could be doing for your back. This is not really the purpose of this video. I would focus mostly on chins. And when I say chins, that's underhand, right? So chin ups, overhand, pull ups, wide grip, close grip, neutral grip. Focus on your chins. Yes, still do your cable rows with like the V bar, underhand. To play around with all that, but focus on your chins. And your chins, in my opinion, you should be doing those daily. You should be doing those daily. Now, depending on where you are at in your fitness level, depends on how many chins you should be doing a day. But just progress with volume, add more reps. Don't even worry about adding weight, just add more reps, right? The delts and the back, the upper back and the lats are the two biggest female gaze muscles, right? Bro, I'm telling you right now, when I made a video about this, I believe last week, if, like one of the best exercises that you could do that just makes a woman go absolutely feral is chins, bro. A lot of women can't even do one chin up, right? You knock out like 10, 15 in a row. And for those of you who do it weighted, you're adding a plate, 2 plates onto yourself. They just go crazy, right? A lot of women also do like to see that back, like the density and like the knots and shit through the shirt, right? If you're wearing a nice compression shirt or like a white shirt or like a light blue shirt or a red shirt or a dry fit shirt, right? Some type of shirt where they can see the back muscles through the shirt. I promise you, women find that extremely attractive, right? So we got delts and we got back. And for the third muscle, we have abs, guys. I'm gonna have to make a part. I'm gonna have to make a part two for sure. I'm gonna make sure you guys fuck with the video. I'm not just gonna make a part two for no reason, but I already know the three muscles I need in my part two because they could have damn near made it into part one, but it has to be abs, right? And abs aren't just the ab muscles, but also the small waist to go with the ab muscles, right? Again, shoulder to waist ratio. So the top three female gaze muscles are gonna be the three muscles or the three areas that make the V taper. The delts is what we start up at top, right? We got the lats and the upper back, which is going to sweep into the V, right? The delts are at the top. The lats and upper back sweep, or the delts and upper back are at the top, I should say. The lats sweep into the V, and the small waist with the chiseled abs is how you're going to end that V taper, right? You're not going to be built like this fridge right here. You're going to actually have a taper. You cannot have a V taper if your delts and back don't taper in. That's not a taper. In order for something to taper, it has to come in. So you want a small waist, as small of a waist as you can have, and you want nice chiseled abs, right? Everybody loves abs. I see a lot of, and I'll probably make a video on this, but there's a lot of dudes online who think that it's manly to have a bigger waist. It's not, there's nothing manly about having a big waist. I saw one dude saying that he was like 5'10" with a 28-inch waist, which is pretty solid. And dudes in the comments were like, "Oh, that's a little girl's waist. I'm a 37. I'm a 36." Like they were like competing to see who has the biggest waist. There's nothing manly about that shit, bro. Like that's some gym cell shit, bro. You want to have a small waist. Not only is it, and actually, I guess this does go into like the female gaze. It signalizes health. right? I told you guys, female gaze is about signalizing health. It's about health cues. You have a small waist, that means you probably have low body fat, right? You have low visceral fat. It means that you're healthy. It probably means that you're strong. And it means that you probably are going to have some decent abs. Now, here's one thing I will say, right? And I study a lot of old school bodybuilding. So some of you guys probably don't know this, but usually a small waist is going to be associated with not the best abs, while a thicker waist will be more deep abs, because when you're doing a lot of heavy ab work, usually the waist gets wider. So it's very rare that you find somebody who has a small waist and chiseled abs, right? Usually when somebody has really good abs, the waist usually thickens, which is why a guy like Serge Nubret or a guy like Frank Zane is so rare, because they have small waist and amazing abs, right? In order for you to get abs like that, in my opinion, you want to do abs unweighted, just body weight, like ab circuits, and you want to train them every day, train them frequently, and you want to practice stomach vacuums. You don't want to be doing side bends. You don't want to be doing weighted ab work. You don't want to be doing a whole bunch of rotating shit. You don't want to be training your obliques directly. My top 3 ab exercises are sit-ups, crunches, right? Sit-ups or crunches, hanging knee raises / hanging leg raises, and ab will rollouts that will help you hit your serratus, your intercostals, and all the muscles on the side. And it will also chisel the obliques up a little bit. You want to be practicing your stomach vacuums, and you want to keep that waist as small as possible. You know, everybody in fitness tracks everything. They track how many calories they eat, how many calories they burn. They track all these different metrics, but very few people track the waist, and the waist is probably the most important metric for you to track, honestly. So I would start tracking your waist once a week, every Sunday, every Monday, every Tuesday, whatever it is, but track it once a week on an empty stomach. You want to make sure that your waist is staying the same or going down. You don't want your waist going up, okay? You want the waist going down. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I'm 6'2", and my goal for the end of 2026 is to have a 26-inch waist. My waist is currently fluctuates between a 27 and a 27 and a half right now. I'm looking to get my waist down to a 26 by the end of this year, right? Having a small waist is really going to set your V taper, right? You want to have nice delts, nice upper back and lats, and a small waist is going to give you the most aesthetic physique possible, and it's going to appeal to the female eye like no other. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. My name is Randall Branch. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you guys do want my help to build a physique, if you guys want to join my 6-month coaching program, if you guys want a personalized training or nutrition program, if you guys want to book a consultation with me, you guys want to access my ebooks or programs or my clothing line, all my information will be down in the description. Follow me on Instagram at Randall Branch. I post daily. Again, like, comment, share, subscribe. This is Randall Branch Media. I'll see you guys later. Peace.